All right, check, check, quick sound check. Can everybody hear me loud and clear? What's going on, everybody? Coach Paul should be joining in just a couple minutes. Firm sound check, and we'll get going. Thanks, Coach Hoop, for putting that risk disclosure in the chat. Welcome, everybody, to At the Buzzer, our market recap. If this is your first time here, the goal of this segment is to review what happened in the markets for the day. We may talk about some markets that you have not traded before, but we believe our goal as traders is to identify opportunity. We want to see how we can take advantage of those opportunities while managing our risk. What's going on, Mints, in the chat? If that's our first time meeting, I'm Coach Jay. I've been a Top Step Performance Coach since June of 2023. Coach Paul should be joining us in just a minute here, but we are going to go over the markets. Pretty quiet as far as news goes. Shout out to all the veterans. Happy Veterans Day. Today, November 11th, 2025. We had the bond markets closed, so not a lot of movement going on there. And not a whole lot of news outside of potential government shutdown ending. We had it pass through the Senate. Of course, now it has to go to the House and then to the president's desk for signing there. It does sound like we are getting closer to the end of that government shutdown, which is great. Longest government shutdown. We know it's been affecting travel and affecting government employee paychecks and things like that. So hopefully we can come to a resolution. I think today is day 42 in that government shutdown. Outside of that, pretty quiet on the news front. What's going on, Douglas, Dan Trader in the chat, RJ as well. Outside of that, pretty quiet as far as news goes. We do know that when this government shutdown is over, we'll be expecting a ton of economic data, jobs reports, inflation reports, and all these things. I'm really curious to see how these reports do get released when they do, because we've been sitting on about 2 months of data at this point. Let's take a look at the quote board. And again, Coach Paul will be joining us in just a couple minutes here. But taking a look at the quote board, 36 different markets we can trade with Topstep accounts. And today, to the downside, we had soybean meal down 1%, micro Bitcoin futures down 3%, and micro Ethereum, our biggest percentage mover to the downside, down 3.7%. The crypto market's been pretty interesting to trade. Taking a look at the daily, we'll go over this really quick in micro Bitcoin. But one of the things we talked about was this 200-day moving average and this candle from November 4th. We're holding the high of that candle. We looked above it in the overnight session last night, above that 200 moving average, but we did not see volume trade above there. You might have joined slow markets last night with Dakota. I was saying, decent short opportunity above 107s. Turned out to be a pretty good trade, looking for 50% of that range, 3% move to the downside. Now, do I think the crypto rally is over? Not for now, but we're definitely basing and finding some comfortable prices here. Going into tomorrow with this trade, I would not be surprised at another test of that 100,000 level. Micro Ethereum, another one, testing that 200-day moving average. It's holding above it, holding up a little bit better than Bitcoin is. We did see that crypto wallet that we were tracking long at one point about $45 million worth of Ethereum. Took about a $10 million profit there before selling that position. Then Ethereum selling back off. So interesting stuff there in micro Bitcoin and Ethereum. To the upside today, we had RBOB gasoline futures up 2.02%, heating oil up 2.78%, and natural gas, our biggest percentage mover to the upside. We continue to talk about natural gas because it continues to move, up 3.96% on the day. Just curious, did anyone catch any of this natural gas trade? We mentioned it during the opening call, and we've been talking about it a little bit. We're getting closer and closer to that 200-day moving average. Almost the high of the session today, 4.620. Shout out to Deanna, who caught a pretty nice trade that she talked about during the segment on TopstepTV today. Really nice push into that 200 moving average on the daily. Taking a look on the 30 in natural gas. And one of the things we've been tracking is how the market responds to the 200 moving average on the 30-minute chart when it gets there. So what we had in the overnight session, a little bit of a sell-off. Saw volume trade initially under that 200 moving average. We get this spike of volume, which turned out to be, at that point, the highest volume of the day on the 30-minute. Once we get a close outside of that, that is what Coach Paul has defined as the J trade. Close above that, and we had a 4% move, 5% move to the upside in natural gas. Billy says, I caught part of it, should have held a runner. I mean, you caught a piece of it, right? You caught a piece of it. This is a pretty big move. We're talking, at the highs, depending on where you got in, you might be holding on to this trade for 6 or so hours. Uh, I had a meeting, Billy, with Coach Robert and his VIP team today, and one of the things we talked about is how long does it take to measure this move here, right? We can go here to here and we say, oh yeah, that's a 5% move. But one thing we sometimes neglect to measure in that is, yes, this is a 5% move and I can measure it and it's a reasonable target. The one thing we don't measure when we backtest a lot of time is the time it takes to get there. Now, can you hold a trade for 6 hours in that, or did you hold it uh, right into your comfort zone? But either way, if you took a nice piece of it, great trade there. Great trade. Natural gas, biggest percentage mover to the upside, 4.13%. And I think it is just getting into that season where we're going to continue to see moves like this. So this is not the last natural gas trade we will talk about. I am sure of it. To take a look at the big four, we have crude oil up 1.38%, the S&P up 0.32%, gold up 0.36%, and the Nasdaq down 0.15%. Every other equity market besides the Nasdaq ended the day higher than settlement. The Dow, the leader, up 1.28% on the day. Big divergence there. And the Nasdaq we saw was heavy. Nvidia at one point was down 3.5% on the day. The news over there that I saw was SoftBank closing its Nvidia position, $5.8 billion worth of Nvidia sold. I think that was sold in October, but we're just getting the release of it now. But Nvidia was down 3.5%. There might have been some other news as well that had it down, but Nvidia weighing, being the number one weighted company in the Nasdaq, and about 15% of the Nasdaq, definitely weighing it down on the day. Let's take a look at the uh, the white line algo continuing to play out here. And we'll take a look at the 30-minute chart in just a minute. But looking at the daily in the equities, here is the Nasdaq still holding the 20 moving average on the daily. Came down, tested it. 25,553 is that price. We traded below it. We did not get volume to trade below it. Right, VWAP stayed above that 25,553. I'm pretty sure for the entire day. And this is a market that is still in an uptrend. We got the healthy pullback into the 50-day moving average, 50% of this October 10th candle. Yesterday, we closed back above it again, and we trade down into 50% of yesterday's range and find some support around those 25,500s. That is the second day in a row we found support there. And we're talking about a Nasdaq market that is less than 3% off the all-time high. We'll take a look at the S&P. It's actually even closer to that all-time high. Eloy, what's going on? These are bullish markets. Looking for places to potentially get in long in the equities. Saying that, I did take a short in the Dow today. That was my one trade of the day. But reasonable expectations for those shorts because these are, again, markets that are continuing to grind to the upside and hold up pretty well. Let's take a look at the 30-minute chart here. And what do we have? We ask it day in and day out, but what is that white line right here? That is the 200 moving average on the 30-minute chart. If you are not a believer at this point, I don't know what we can do. And of course, anything we say here is for educational purposes only, not a suggestion to take a trade. But how many times do we see these markets hold the 200 moving average on the 30-minute chart? We just saw it somewhat in natural gas where it traded below it, but volume stayed above. We got the same thing in the equities today. Here is last night's open. We open up, trade above that first 30-minute range. We can see, could we call this urgency if we see it this way? Right? We see the markets open up like this. Price leaves the range to the upside. Volume starts to leave to the range to the upside. You could technically take this long here, right? Where VWAP left, price left as well. We don't want to try to cherry pick trade examples, but what's a great stop on this? And this is why we measure to the other side of the opening range, right? If I get long above the high of this opening range and I'm looking for a 2-to-1 trade, I never get one. I never get a 1-to-1. And this is why stop location is important. Right, Coach Paul's been using a word recently, and it's fragmented. Right, the markets are fragmented. As the day goes on, we're getting pieces of the puzzle. And if you're just looking at the puzzle this way, and you're trading for the Globex session, this piece might have told you that there was a long. Right, if I look on the daily, it looks like there's some more room up. We held a pullback, And then if I go down to a 30-minute chart, I may take this trade long here. The Dow trade was on a different platform, but yeah, I can take a look at it. I can take a look. But in this case, you may have taken this long here. And if you're not willing to accept when the market doesn't agree with your trade idea, then you have a hard time, right? If you continue to buy this, and maybe you find long opportunities, but if you're continuing to buy this and not paying attention to what the market is saying and what the market wants, you may be buying the entire way down. And eventually, we do get to a price where it's a great spot to buy, right at that 200 moving average on the 30-minute, right at 25 500s, right at 25 500s, and then we start to find some support. One of the things we've been doing as well, and you can continue to do, is look at that first candle that tests that 200 moving average. Actually, let's do this. Let's go down to a shorter time frame. I'm going to put that 200 moving average at 25 497, and let's go down to a 3-minute. We're going to look at the first 3-minute candle that tests that level, and we'll consider that an event, right? What's the event? The market tested the 200 moving average. If I anchor a VWAP from there, that volume never trades lower. Price does. We do get price to trade lower at one point, but the volume never trades lower. So the flow to the downside that we had all day stopped at this point in a very similar area to where it did yesterday, right? Yesterday, the lows of the day were, I think, 25 446 or something like that, 452, right around that low. Very similar area. The market, we found some buyers there near that 200 moving average on the 30-minute, and then we got another J trade here on the lows. We made the low of the day. We closed above that high. And from that point, the flow was to the upside into the close. So really nice day in the Nasdaq, two-sided trade. You could have taken both sides of it. Just required some patience for sure. Let's take a look here at the chat. If you guys do have any questions, I'll go over a couple different markets, and then I will share that Dow trade. Here's somebody joining in the green room. What's up, Coach Paul? Let me bring you in here. Good to go? All good. Coach Paul in here. There he is. I'll share the screens with you in just a second. How are we doing today, Coach?
Good. Very interesting day.
Very interesting day for sure. We were just going over the Nasdaq. Presented some opportunity on both sides really today. It was a weird kind of day. It felt like the market was waiting for something. Also, it's like, is this a holiday where the market is not going to trade a ton of volume or not? How did you approach today?
Very slowly. Last night's action was flat, so there wasn't much energy after yesterday's run up. I think it was hesitating. So I waited till after the opening, and I ended up buying. I was trading the S&P and natural gas.
Man, what a move! What a move!
Yeah, that was a move. I got in a little late.
We got to go over that chart again, because I went over it just briefly because it's the biggest percentage mover to the upside, but I think we got to go over that one again.
No, let's do it.
Yeah, absolutely. Got a question. What would have needed to happen for volume to trade below that level? Would have had to see more selling coming in, right? And aggressive selling at these lows. So we had the 200 moving average down there that was at right around 497 in the Nasdaq. We would have had to see more aggressive selling coming in here. Look at the volume pattern when we get down here, right? If we just look at the volume bars, once we hit that level, that 500 level, that 200 moving average, all of the volume bars at that point were lower than the average on the 3-minute chart, right? Then we have this attempt again to push it lower. And what happens if you sell something and it doesn't go your way? Eventually, you got to buy it back, to cover that position. And sellers tried. They tried it a couple times, could not get price to move lower, met a buyer down there. We found the last seller, and it's a really nice push to the upside. So what would have brought volume below the 200 moving average? Continued selling. And we kind of just saw the flow stop once we got to this level. Very similar to what we saw yesterday. What's up?
Boy, it just stands out. What did we have at that low? It's a great question. What would have taken it? We were at that low. We would have, like Coach said, and this sounds like rudimentary, but it needed more selling. It got selling and a large amount of selling. And look at that. That's a classic J trade.
Yes, it
Selling
is.
exhaustion at the 200.
I mean, what more could you ask for, right? What more could you ask for in this case? Just strong rejection. Uh, yeah, and the J trade is a mini capitulation trade, right? That's exactly what it is, right? We failed. We hear Mohammed say it all the time, right? I want to see the sellers fail, and in this case, before I buy it, because you could have made the case to buy it a couple of times here, but if we're looking at this, there's one point where it was the best point to buy. Always look for the best, and we only wait for those trades. Maybe, maybe not. We talked about removing marginal trades, but at some point, it became the best point to buy. That 200 moving average continues to be a level that we look at, and it's not always right. Sometimes we're going to see the market sell through it, but if I'm looking there, we have this heavy flow to the downside all day, and then we get to an area where we know the market has the potential to bounce, and we see sellers fail. That's about it, right? At some point, sellers, if I'm short from 25 700s and we get down to 500s and we don't continue to go lower, I'm going to take something off the table and not let the market get back to my position. So, not a coincidence that we do see some buyers there. So, yeah, really nice trade there. Uh,
Yeah, but once again, today, being patient, waiting for your setup. I don't know if that's one we look for. Um, but other than that, it was really tough, kind of a slow grinding day.
yeah.
Interestingly, is the Nasdaq was down 50 and the S&P was up 20.
It was Nvidia. It was Nvidia.
It
Nvidia
was
was
all
down.
NVIDIA.
Nvidia was down most of the day. We got a question here also. Do we use SMAs or EMAs? And is there a difference? We went over this a little bit last week, but let's just see, right? If I go to the 30-minute, the pink line is going to be the 200 EMA. The white line is going to be the 200 SMA. Now, sometimes it respects this EMA really well. Sometimes it respects the SMA really well. Whatever you do, just keep it consistent. Right? We actually
Yeah,
talked about. Go ahead, Coach Wall.
I did back testing over almost 10 years, and to me it was a slight edge
Mhm.
on the SMA. And as
There you
coach
go.
said, whatever it is you choose, you need to be consistent with it. With me, I'm a simple kind of man. I just went with the simple moving average.
Um, what some traders might do, and it's not a strategy that I'm going to stick on too long, but you could almost look at this like an EMA cloud, right? And anything in the middle is considered chop zone. But then if they're both trending the same way,
Hmm.
could be a good spot to limit risk. But we will
Yeah, let's keep that on there. I like that
could
idea.
could be could be interesting. Could be interesting for sure. Let's take a look real quick at the S&P. Here's the S&P again, showing a lot more strength than the Nasdaq. Did not get down to that. I'm going to take this line off for now, but did not get down to that 200 moving average on the 30-minute. Again, Nvidia kind of weighing the Nasdaq down just a little bit on the day. S&Ps, we are. If we get a the end of this government shutdown, Coach Paul, do we just rocket to all-time highs? 1.25% off the all-time high in the S&P. The only question is, what happens to the data? That's my thought.
I don't know. That would be prediction. But
Yeah,
looking at the market as a technician, I mean, it's really just a day's trading away. We had,
yeah.
once again, technically, there's nothing here. Buy the dip. The dip was made, and now we're back into drifting higher. But since, we can only trade in the present, right?
Right.
And make our judgments on in present information. Now, it doesn't have to go to new highs, but from my experience, there is a high probability it will. So that's my perspective. And we've seen this so many times, bouncing off the 50 to go back up. That's a pattern. I'll go with the
Absolutely
pattern.
is. Go with the pattern until it breaks. Patterns are patterns until they break. For Fed, can we go over gold? We'll go over gold. We'll go over the equities first, but we will get to gold in just a second here. There is a question: do people trade based off the levels in the overnight session? I think that's a great question. One of the things we've started doing recently, and we'll take a look at the Dow with this one, is looking at the overnight volume profile, right? And what this will give you is the high and low of the overnight session as well. And I got to thank Coach Paul for this one. High and low of the overnight session, and then the volume point of control for the session. Now, if we look at it this way, we got a volume point of control. This looks like this. There we go. So let me brighten this up for you a little bit here. This is a great way to do it where, sometimes I think it's nice to just look at regular trading hours to see if there
Yeah.
was a gap or anything or where we traded. But what we did was we traded into the value area from yesterday, from the overnight session. And what did volume do from that point? If we look at, go down to a shorter time frame, pull this over to there
Oh,
and
is
move
that the
this up.
Dow?
This is the Dow. What a move, right? Everything else was trying to figure out who it was going to be for the day. The Dow took a look at the overnight point of control. Volume never traded below it, right? That's VWAP, that red line, never traded below. Once volume broke out of that range to the upside, the Dow was up 1.25% today. The Nasdaq was down 0.15%. So this is where we say there are different equity markets to trade. If the Nasdaq feels or seems choppy on the day, the money might be going somewhere else. And in this case, the money was going to the Dow.
Yeah, well, I might have a flair for the obvious looking at
Mhm.
that. It's like,
Yeah,
wow. Now, that brings back is you trade the market you're in that market.
right.
This, in hindsight, yeah, this is great. But if you're a Dow trader, you had great opportunity to buy it because what I call it fits the DNA of volume and price.
Yep. Just take a quick look, see what some of the other markets did around that same. We look at the S&P and look at volume. It took a while for
Yeah,
this
because
volume to ever leave the value area from the overnight session. We had a bigger overnight session in the S&P than we did in the Dow, right? The Dow was a high to low, a 0.2% move, where the S&P was about a 0.5% or more. So the Dow had a lot more energy in it. Take a look at the Nasdaq, very similar thing to the S&P. We did a lot of work in the overnight session, and we just stayed inside that overnight value area for a while, right? But when price left, we can look at this value low. Volume did leave at some point. We look at the rejection off this green line, right? That becomes the overnight value area. Rejected a couple of times until that volume flattened out. So, do people use overnight levels to trade? Absolutely, absolutely, and I think it is a good practice to do so. Good practice to do so. Anything else you got on the equities, Coach Paul?
No, very interesting day though. That why did Dow take off like that and Nasdaq not? It didn't have Nvidia. That's how heavy Nvidia is in the indices. That's how much capital it's sucking out. Um, Very interesting. Going forward, What does that mean? Well, it means we have to trade again tomorrow and
We
make
do.
decisions for the day. So, um, I'm really interested in how this Nasdaq continues from here. That's a
Yes. All right. Real quick, I'll go over my Dow trade. I did not catch any of that long in the Dow. Full transparency, I came into the day saying that, hey, you know what, today probably has the potential to be a consolidated day. Sometimes when you frame your days out like that, it frames your trade. And I'm not going to complain about it. Made some money on the Dow today, but let me transfer. Let me switch over to this screen and I'll show you guys the trades that I took. And very happy. They were both shorts. And I was very happy to get out of these trades with some profit. I think position over. There we go. All right. So I took two shorts in the Dow today. Here's one. We had this volume exhaustion up at these highs, which this is telling me that there were some buyers up there, but we've talked about this before. I talked about this trade during slow markets. The buyer up here is somebody that I want to follow, but because they showed me they bought up here and that was the high of the day so far, that's telling me that there's potential for a short to get a better position than this buyer. It gave me an opportunity to, but you can see where I got short. Just a one lot here. And then when it did it again up at these highs, I took another short. But look at what we're holding, right? This white line here is that overnight value area high. We held it to the tick. My read was completely off in the market, but this showed me that there was potential for higher with these buyers stepping in up at these highs. It's just when this absorption happens, a lot of times we get a pullback. Before that, I traded the pullback. Um, that pullback is often an opportunity to get into a better position than the trader that you saw up here. But I just traded the pullback, traded it twice, made a couple $100. These were my only trades for the day. I was done trading after a half an hour. But it was a setup to take a long after seeing those longs. So that's not what I was reading. That is what the market was saying. Very happy I stopped shorting it. I'll say that much.
And you made a little money doing it.
Right. Right. If I could make some money on a short day like this and not get completely blown out of the trade, I'm happy with that. My read was definitely off. Normally, when your read is off, pay a lot for it. In this case, I did not have to pay too much. I actually got paid for it. That is called reasonable expectations for your trades. Reasonable expectations. If I was looking for a $1 million trade to the upside or to the downside, was not going to happen. Not today, at least. Not today. All right. Yeah, and King Caesar says, I like to buy that, take profit. Yeah, I mean, that was the area, right? We kept holding that overnight value area. I just didn't have the right read, but that is okay. I didn't see the read that said that. I took the check down instead of the Hail Mary. You were gonna say something, Coach Paul?
Yeah, someone asked a question. I lost it. What inputs do you use for your moving average indicator?
Good question. Good question. So I'm using the moving average triple indicator. So there's a couple of different moving averages, right? You can use normal moving average, which has a bunch of different inputs that you can select. But I'll put up the settings for this indicator that I have here. It's just a moving average triple indicator. We have the 20, 50, 200. Method is set to simple. And that's it. With the other moving average indicators, you can change them up. But Coach Paul said, I'm a simple man. There's more than enough information getting out, that we can get out of these simple indicators. Let's keep it simple. I think when you use this indicator initially, I set mine to 20, 50, and 200 as default. So I don't even know what the defaults are, but it'll have different colors, different numbers there. But for me, just keeping it simple. All right. Anything else on the equities you got, Coach Paul? You want to move over to the metals? People are
Let's
asking about
get
the
to the
metals today.
metals.
Let's talk about the metals. Let's take a look at gold here on a daily in gold. What are we looking at? Looks a lot like the equities charts.
Because it's There we go. Oh, I don't know. That looks very bullish to me.
Yeah.
We close back. Oh, I mean, it goes back over the 20. But we have that. What's that hurdle, coach? The 50% of the candle,
Yep. We haven't
the
even got up
reversal
there.
candle.
Got some work to do for these buyers. That price is all the way up at 42.40, 42.43, I believe it is. We got some work to do, buyers, but it's holding up pretty nice. It closed inside that range 2 days in a row now. Can we find the buyers to continue to push us higher? Uh, it today was an interesting one in gold as well, because last night it looked like we were going to go until it didn't, and then this morning it looked like we were going to sell right back off until it didn't, and we're just right back in the middle of the range. Very indecisive day on the daily. Gold still presenting some great trade opportunities. Daily ATR is still over $90. It was over 100 for a little while. Today was a consolidated range, 53 points high to low. Let's take a look at this 30-minute here. Take a look at
Wow.
last night's open.
We
Urgency
actually
early.
had a nice little rally off over last night's open. We had some urgency.
Yep.
And once again, and I believe it. Yeah, it was a 2-to-1. I took this trade.
Nice. Urgency. If you wonder what we're defining as urgency, VWAP and price leave this range. Probably getting long somewhere around there, risking the low of the. Stop doing that. Risking the low of the range, and you got your 2-to-1 at the high, and that's a big trade in gold. Uh, it might not look like it, but this is a $20 move in gold. You're trading the minis or the big contract. That's $2,000 with $1,000 of risk. Jay is an ICT trader.
Could be.
Maybe ICT is a J trader. Never think of that.
But I haven't. But now that you've said it,
now that it's out there, you're gonna question everything.
Yes, I do.
But yeah, what a nice 2-to-1 trade here. Nice 2-to-1 trade. Great.
You know what? Let's bring up that volume profile. Let's see what. And I find it very fascinating. It gives you good information as when that point of control flips. So up towards those highs, it was, and we could see what.
Hold on one second. Let me settings here. You can actually see the candles. All right, there we go.
And you're quick.
All right, what are we saying here, Coach Paul?
So in that rally in gold, we reached the high, even if you didn't reach 2-to-1, watching that point of control as it moves up. The price is staying above it. And then at one point it catches up. Yeah. And then flips. And look what happens when VWAP starts to go under that point of control.
Yep.
We just had liquidation. I'm starting to watch that pattern a little more. And it means something. Volume. The volume is not sustaining. Our volume to me is energy. So we had early energy. It stalls out. The point of control moves up the ladder, so to speak, and flattens out, and VWAP flattens out. That's evidence of what? Lack of participation. This price is being accepted on both sides. So knowing that, to me, it's like, well, I don't want to get short. Personally, I don't want to get short. But if I'm long, what information? Because we only get it in fragments, right? As the night went on, it stalled. what and someone asked a great question, what would it take to go higher? Well, this keeping it simple, it would take new buyers, and we're not seeing them.
Right. We're seeing a price trade above, and look at where this is not a coincidence where this is happening. Right. There's a ton of accumulation, maybe of shorts or just lack of participation above a whole number level. It's not a coincidence that we're seeing this volume flatten out and price stall out at 4150s. Just what happens at whole number levels in these markets, and it looked great until it didn't, Coach Paul, for buyers.
It
They
kinda
looked ready to
reminds me
go.
of yeah, some of the beater cars I used to have in my teens. You get up to a certain speed and start choking out,
Right.
like, um, so, that but really, that the energy is coming in and what reflects VWAP and point of control starting or tangling, and they're going sideways. There's no that's balance, then it's hard to now with that, if they can give you some information to get short. I'm not that good. But looking at that, I'm kind of if I see that and I've missed the move, I have no problem not trading it.
Absolutely. What's interesting going into tomorrow, this 30-minute candle right here, this is 10 a.m. Eastern time, 9 a.m. Central time. We've already closed above it. When we do the opening call tomorrow, just know that I will be referencing this candle as long as it's relevant. But right now, I'm looking at it as relevant, right? Highest volume candle that we've had, one of the highest volume 30-minute candles that we had all week. If we look at the last one, that was here, closed below it, closed back above it, opportunity in that. Here's another one. So I just want to watch how the market responds to this candle. You can see this one. Tried to figure out what we were doing with it for a while. Price left the range to the downside. Volume never did. And we start to hold 50% once we close above. Interesting stuff there as well. I would be paying attention to where volume is on candle closes outside of this range. All right. Even this one. We got candle closes outside the range. What did VWAP do? It flattened out right at the lows. There's lack of participation of sellers below this range here. And this is happening right at 4,000, another major psych level. So want to watch how the market responds to this one. Right now, VWAP is flat. So
Hey,
watch.
I haven't watched what did silver? Let's take a look at silver.
Let's take a look. Comment of the day. Well, two comments of the day here. One from Heather, hit the like, and another one from T Bird. I really like the recap segment. T Bird, hit that thumbs up button. We appreciate you being here, and we like doing this. You guys don't know how much we learn from doing this segment. Or I can't speak for Coach Paul, but how much I learned. But I think you would say the same.
Oh, yeah. Volume. And by the way, if you do like it, not only hit the like button, tell all your friends and family to tune in, and they can join us in
Look
this
at Coach Paul
fun
being an influencer.
adventure.
Look at Coach Paul being an influencer. We'll talk
Yeah.
crude in just a second here, but here's silver. We broke out of that pinch that we were in between the 20 and 50-day moving averages. What are we seeing here?
It looks just like the gold. I go, "Why'd you bring up the gold?"
We talked about this one. We talked about this one already.
So, yeah, the it took a punch, right?
Yep.
And it looks very friendly to me. Why? Well, 2 things. They held the 50 on a big move down. It's a test. And held for a week. Now we're
Silver's
breaking
doing a
back
lot better
out.
than silver's doing better than gold here. I just mapped out that October 21st candle. Right here it is in silver. We're already pretty much through it. The same candle in gold. Is silver the leader of the metals right now? And again, this is a market that made this is an all-time high up here in silver. We are less than 5% or just about 5% off of it. That could be a one-day move. We've seen
Yeah.
how explosive this market can get. This is really interesting here.
So, yeah, glad we brought that up.
I mean, hell, while we're here, platinum's still stuck in the middle. Copper, I don't know what this is. I can't figure this out. Mm,
A
Copper's doing whatever it
copper?
wants. Yeah,
A copper. I
it's doing
don't.
whatever it wants.
I surrender. It's hard. And you know what? And I'm not here to put down if you can trade it and just beware. It's a slippery trade.
Yeah, that there's at some point this year, copper was presenting opportunity. Right now, it is presenting, from what I see, opportunity to lose on both sides, trying to figure out what the hell is happening here. Copper doesn't know what's happening here. Um, so, it's not for me to figure out. Tell me who you want to be, and then I'll believe you. All right, let's take a look. We already looked at micro Bitcoin.
All right, now we're gonna go back to this, and we're going to. I'm actually out of town.
Okay.
I have family situations that I have to
Mhm.
take care of, and but what did we see last week? We are still waiting for Coach Paul's pivots and charts. They'd be really helpful and kind of Coach Paul. And I'm a kind of guy, but I kind of like to get how many? How many likes, Coach Jay?
What are we at right now? Let's see how many people we have watching. We got 552 people watching right now. I'll hit a refresh and I'll do them a favor. I'll hit the like button as well. We were at a Luka Doncic 77 likes. We're at 78 right now. 553. We put it at 300 last time, but maybe that was a little bit too much. Let's see if we can get 250. We can get 250 likes, and I'm telling you, Coach Paul showed me these pivot points. I don't know if I should be sharing this or not, but hey, we're here. This is our job, Coach Paul. We give out information. He showed me the pivot points, and I said, I don't know that there will ever be another thing that I need to add technically to my trades. In addition to what I already do in these pivot points, at this point, I never need to add anything else to my charts. So take that for what you will, but hit that thumbs up button.
Just keeping it simple.
Keeping it simple. Um,
Maybe maybe we'll play Leonard Skinner for everyone if we get there. I
uh,
guess we can't, but it'd be nice.
yeah, be nice. Let's see. What do we got here? All right. So we went over Bitcoin earlier. Let's take a look at crude oil. Crude oil on the daily, that 20 moving average.
Mhm.
That 20 moving average, Coach Paul. Did you trade this at all? Because I'm gonna be honest, I did not look at it.
I just traded natural gas because you made me.
I'm sorry.
No,
Sorry, I made
actually,
you
I
trade
did.
the better market.
You know, it's I had 2 setups, and I am busy doing other thing. I'm kind of busy, and I'm like,
Mhm.
I didn't even take a peek at it because the natural gas was a nice setup, and I'm like, okay, I'll take that. But that 20, we're holding, and we're getting kind of a kind of a hook. Like, you know what I mean? But there's an old trading strategy they call the hook, where if you take that 20 moving average, what does it look like? If we just got rid of the candles, it's turning at lower prices. It's the trend is being challenged on light volume, but we got to clear it. Yeah. So, and it's holding those. So I don't know how many fishermen or fisher women do we have out there?
I think we got we
That's
got
very
we got one in the chat. JD in the chat says I might be the only one trading crude right now. You might be the hey, if it's making you money, who cares?
absolutely.
Might be a lonely party, but the money's still green over there.
But so let's see. I mean, that looks pretty. It's friendly, but what are we? Once again, what are we trading between?
20 and the 50.
So prove it to me by closing over the 200.
20 and the 50. I'll take a look, real quick look. Last night, here's that 200 moving average again on the 30-minute. Traded price below it. Volume tried to leak below. Flow just stopped. We closed right back above. Let's say you got short. Let's say you got short, right? We don't want to cherry pick trades.
Mhm.
Volume below the 200 moving average. Price below the 200 moving average. Also, I get short right around here. I got a trade back above the 200 moving average. Actually, let's go 2 ATRs, 24 ticks. That's on a 30-minute. Say I got short right here. I'm happy I'm out. I got close to a 1-to-1. Close to a 1-to-1. Maybe not the best trade location. But once we get back above that VWAP, I've heard you say this, Coach Paul, I'm out.
Oh, yeah, I
Right.
don't need to
VWAP.
get
Yeah.
right. Earlier, I was talking about you get fragmented information, and that's the way it is. So you get new information, but you still have to have a stop. You have to have an exit before you get in. It just it makes the decision making so much easier. But heck, that's to me, that's almost a that's kind of a reversal trade where you can actually go the other way. And I don't take those easily. But this one, what information came in? We were breaking, and that was overnight. And what was that? Was that Europe that turned it around?
This was Europe that turned it around. Yep.
Cheerio, London. They kind of set the tone. We've been talking about it. They set the tone for
All
crude.
year. All year.
Yep.
London has been setting the
Um,
tone. This is a case, though, of, you know, there could have been a case, and hopefully this is not you as a trader, but when the market proves that you're wrong, maybe even in a short time frame, it is a great opportunity to reassess. Right? If you manage what that risk is, right? In this case, 24 ticks, $240 with a mini, $24 with a micro. If you can manage what that risk is, this is just a data point, right? I think what happens sometimes is we turn a data point into a you know a catastrophe where no, this has to be a short. Crude has to go lower. So now I'm going to sell a two lot because this market has to go down. When you get stopped out of a trade, it's a great opportunity to just reassess the playing field and see whether or not your eyes are seeing the right thing. That might not mean that you get into a long here, but a winning trade is taking a stop out here. Maybe you try it twice, but then you win in saying that, hey, like I did with that Dow trade, I was completely wrong about the Dow. And again, in this case, it didn't cost me money. But if it did cost me money and I took some losses on those trades, if I just continued to short all day because I know the Dow needs to go down and my brain gets stuck. Anybody else? This ever happened to anybody else? You tell yourself short and you just short the rest of the day. Like, hey, this
yeah.
you're hearing everybody say, "Oh man, this is rallying. Oh man, I'm getting paid. This is the easiest trade of my life." And you're just like sitting here fuming because no, I know I'm right. It has to go lower. Market's up 2% from your entry, from your first entry. And you could have just said, hey, you know what? You're wrong. Accept it. No, 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 no. I'm never wrong. I'm gonna keep shorting. And 2% later, uh, you're like, fuck. Maybe I bought two resets on the way up, right? Maybe I blew my. Who's done this? Who's done this? And I'm saying this from experience, right? That wasn't a script that somebody gave me, right? I'm saying that from experience. When we are able to slow ourselves down and say, hey, you know what? Maybe maybe I am wrong. Maybe I am wrong. And it won't cost you that much. You could potentially flip and go the other way. That's maybe a more advanced trade, and you don't necessarily have to do that. We don't have to try to catch every tick, but trying to short this the entire way up, and this is a small move in crude oil, but it can definitely blow an account.
Well, here it goes back to taking measured risk. If you took this short and lost money, that's fine. But if you took that
Right.
short and you over leveraged to a point where you needed it to go down, do you understand what I mean? When you need it to go down,
Yeah.
right away, first of all, right
Walk
away,
away.
you know you're over leveraged. So, but if you took a good amount of risk, say it's $100. I'm in. I'm gonna risk 100 to make 200. I lost 100. Doesn't blow up on my account.
Yeah. So in doing that, and I could see a bunch of people in the chat saying, "Hey, who hasn't done this before? I've done this. Oh man, I've blown so many accounts this way." This is where the pattern recognition skills that we use day in and day out to say, "Oh, these 3-bar reversals are perfect opportunities to get in long or short." The moving average cross, I do this and it does that, and then I buy it and I make $1,000. That same pattern recognition skill that you're developing, looking at the markets every day, use it to analyze yourself. And there is a pattern that plays out when you do those tilt things, right? We talked about tilt triggers last week. There's a pattern that's playing out. Identify that pattern and then do whatever you can as a risk manager to mitigate the effects of that pattern playing out. Uh,
Someone said,
because
Trubbins, Montana. Jay Cook, acting like a pro is boring. Being profitable is boring. And
yeah,
yeah, yeah, exactly. If you're, subconsciously, you could be looking for drama.
hmm
Heck,
yeah, good point. Good point.
TV is made with drama, whether it's sports or a soap opera or everything in between. That's drama. Here, subconsciously, you could be looking for, what they call gambler's action. It's
Yeah,
the looking for a thrill. When you're on spot on trading, you're trading, executing a plan, the drama stops
yep. Put on if you
and
want.
the
Yeah.
and trading begins.
You want some drama while you're at your trading desk, put on Hulu or Netflix on a side screen, watch some reality TV or something. Get your drama that way, and then just let the trading
Yeah,
be boring. 'Cause
but
it's definitely not supposed to be drama on the charts. Nope. It's supposed to be
well,
measured risk and very boring. But like Coach Paul, you made a great point there. Sometimes we go looking for the drama. That
yeah,
could be a whole session in itself.
yeah,
That honestly needs to be looked at if that's the case. But yeah,
yeah.
I'll
Well,
leave
it's
that
the
one.
old saying: "Save the drama for your mama," because she's the
Right.
only one who really cares.
Right.
And it is in all seriousness. This is something what to learn from, because those trades where you go where tilt or all the different tag names that are the same thing, it's all drama. When you're measuring right your risk, I would even suggest if you've been struggling, just go, I'm betting $100 to make
Yep.
$200. I'm betting I'm trading, my size is $100 to make 100.
hmm
You can now start removing the drama to just execution, be sniper like.
Yep.
When you can't, I've seen this in my own trading and many people, traders, is if you're not focused on what size you're trading, what's your risk, if it's not consistent, that's where the drama starts. Because we'll go back to if you have too much on where you have to be right,
Yeah.
just start start the drama, because
Yep.
you're already in an anxious mood, like, and you still, to me, I knew it when I started cheerleading.
Come on, come on, come on.
Yeah,
3 points.
and
All I need is 3 points. Nope. You get those 3 points. It's just not gonna be in your direction. Gotta be very
yeah.
specific in what you ask for. Someone told me one time. All right, let's take a look at natural gas. What are we seeing here in natural gas, Coach Paul?
We're seeing a great buy market, and we've had this great. If we did you start on the daily?
Yeah, let's take a
Oh,
look here.
do we even
This is
have to
daily
look
here.
at that? All right. Oh, we're getting close. So what's that white line
That is the
on
200
the
moving
daily?
average. 200 moving average on the daily. It's been a target. We've been talking about this target for 3 weeks now. Since we
Yeah,
had this gap up, saying, okay, hey, might be coming into that seasonality. Uh, we are pretty much there. Haven't hit it yet, but pretty close to it. Pretty close to it here. Less than a daily ATR away. Take a look
Boy,
at the
there's a
30-minute here.
classic reversal gap off a contract. I think those are contract lows, aren't they?
They were. Yep. Contract lows, we gapped up and tested the candle that made the gap, have not looked back.
Yeah. Um, so frame out, and if we frame out that candle and put, or we can just put a VWAP on it and then keep that VWAP
Yeah.
from that candle, that gap candle, which we held. Yeah, that to me is going to be supported. This is a pretty impressive move. But
Yes, it is.
we're coming. It's a come to the 20-day moving average moment, and let's see.
Got some work to do up here now, buyers. 4% move to the upside today. They did a good job of doing that work.
Yes, they did. Let's take a look.
Talked about this one right on the open, but we had, what did you see here, Coach Paul? You took the trade. I went over it as we opened. We talked about biggest percentage mover of the day. What did you see here? Where was that execution? Initially, it looked like we had the potential to sell.
Well, we sold overnight. Now it's overnight natural gas. Look at that. Look at that volume. Can you see it? I can't.
It's not there.
So to help with that analysis, we know that natural gas is not an overnight trade.
Mm-hmm.
It's local to the U.S. Henry Hub get natural gas. So the overnights is largely neutral, but we can put volume profile starting from the opening and see what the profile is doing. And
Where do you want to pull it
7
to?
o'clock Eastern.
7 Eastern. Back at where I dropped it. There we go.
So look where it starts. And then we have this big break, which for a night session, that was decent, big volume. So we've been having a short-term rally and we get a big break. All right. It sets up eventually as a J trade. We never broke that low. And how many times did we test it? We had a big spike wick, but we couldn't get lower than that.
Yep.
Now, I wasn't involved in it. I was actually I wasn't even awake. What I saw was later.
Okay.
So, but look at this. When we look at that flip, and what did the volume point of control do? It went flat even to the close. It did move. It's not finding volume at a higher price, so we're not hitting. We're not getting any sellers that are changing it.
Right.
But right here, I looked at it. We were above VWAP crossed, right about there. VWAP crossed the 200. I'm like, I bought. Put a 2 ATR stop. And
what I like about this trade is, again, some traders will try to figure out how to buy this low tick down here. But listen to what Coach Paul just said about the execution of this trade. You didn't buy until VWAP and price were back above the 200 moving average. But if I'm looking at natural gas, it moves so much percentage-wise that it's okay to have a reasonable expectation of a 1%, 2% move in this market. And you didn't have to buy the low tick, right? If we think highs and lows of the move aren't meant for us, they're meant for market makers. What did we get here? Highest volume candle of the day on the 30-minute to that point. We close above it. Now here's my opportunity, because anyone else who shorted down here, or like we're seeing in this volume profile, Coach Paul, you've been using the word accumulation. It's just being bought down here.
it's just, yeah. Oh, look at that. It was the two things there. We had that huge, what time was that? That had to have been out of London.
This
But that
was
doesn't usually,
1 a.m. Eastern.
yeah, it doesn't That was kind of odd,
Yeah,
almost like
they've been watching at the buzzer.
they've been watching it. And have they hit the like button?
Sure, they did. Sure, they did. What are we at right now? Remember, 250 likes. We will have Coach Paul talk about pivot points. We have 131 right now, and we're gonna end in 5 minutes. So, chat, you got some work to do.
We're
Uh,
getting close.
getting close. 130. We need 120 more. We got about 500 people watching. So, tell your friends and family to hit that thumbs up button. Coach Paul and I already done it for you. I want to hear about the pivot points. All right. So,
Ooh, Mintz 702. Good point here. Developing point of control held price.
yep,
I'm gonna give him a golf clap there. Yeah, that's what I'm really finding, that it held price and well, we have to have Coach Vince back on talking about that. He's in the audience. Um, he's very good at this. I mean, uh, you should stop in and listen to him on Discord. He's a
absolutely.
master of this.
I know. I
Um,
know one thing Coach Vince is going to talk about today. He sent me a screenshot of a Nasdaq trade he had today. Pretty much caught the damn low. Nice trade, Vince. Where
yeah.
was he long from? He sent me a screenshot. What did he get? 25,491. What a trade. What a trade.
Now
Uh, go ahead, Coach
back
Paul.
to this natural gas. I call that early. That was a compression trade,
Mm,
or the beach. I call it beach ball effect.
right.
Well, then you push a beach ball down, and it slips out of your hand, and it doesn't come up gently. It kind of hits you in the face if you're
Punches you right in the
short.
face. Yep.
Um, that I love that trade.
Great trade.
I actually got in, well, quote unquote, late, but you know what? If you're floating in a river and it's got it's moving, you don't. Late is relative term. It had
Is
great flow.
yep. You got so I was on with AJ, who's been a live funded trader with TopStep, AJ and Dolby today, and he got long in the Nasdaq. And one of the things you just said, Coach Paul, was you got confirmation of flow, right? Sometimes we try to find where the flow starts, and sometimes you're going to get it. But one of the things I love that AJ did, he got long in the Nasdaq. Where was that? I want to kind of frame out this trade. So he got long. What time was that? Right around here. So he was long from about, yep, he got long on this drop right here. Call it 560s. Got long, took some heat initially on the position. And then we don't get to see the markets like this, right? We get to see it like this. He had a VWAP, put VWAP on here. Is that the right one? There it goes. And he sees the market this way. So what he said was, I want to get long down here. He got long, took some heat, initially had a trade that was working in his favor, but not really giving him the flow to the upside. So he took the trade off and he said, you know what? I'm not seeing exactly what I want, but I can still get paid for what I've done already. So I'm going to take the trade off. He takes the trade off for 20 points, takes $400. He says, I'll get back into this trade if we close above VWAP. We close above VWAP, and he's back in. I think he was looking at a 5-minute chart. Close above VWAP on a 5-minute. We come back down, test it. He says, I'll get back in long at 85s if we close above VWAP. That's just waiting for confirmation of flow. Now, if we look at how he executed that trade, somebody might be like, oh, this guy's over trading. He traded 2 trades or whatever it is. He took 1 trade, was willing to take what the market was presenting at that time. And then if the market showed that it had the capability of presenting more, then I'll get back in. He cost himself $80. Or shouldn't even say he cost himself. Confirmation cost him $80. Paid $80 for confirmation for a $800 trade. If you did not watch that segment, go back and watch it. Really great execution on that trade, and very similar to what Coach Paul just talked about here, right? I don't have to get into the low. I'm going to pay for confirmation, right? Would you pay for a flight that they said, hey, you know what? The plane might only have 1 wing, so we're going to try to fly it. We'll see if we can get there. No one would buy that ticket, right? But think Coach Paul free.
No, I think I
Oh, you
might have
just sitting
frozen
there.
it. I'm deep in a
Uh,
thought.
Something froze. But either way,
Yeah,
uh, you pay for confirmation. You pay for not a guarantee, but hey, there's a higher likelihood that we're going to get to my target once it gets above this level. Really great trade there. Really great trade. Coach Paul was just deep in thought over there. Anything else you got, Coach Paul? We are at time here. Fortunately, I do not think we hit our like goal, so we'll just keep the secrets to ourselves. Uh,
the secret sauce shall begin. It's some when we can get there. But all sincerity, um, great show today. Going back, um, really, I hope this helps you develop a consistent trading plan. You don't, by the way, what no one says here, this is how it's done. There's no secret sauce. But through my 4 decades, I've been helped by with different points of view, different perspectives to find things that make sense to me that I could execute with. And I've done a lot of them. So if one thing here, we're reviewing trades. This is we give our perspective. Hopefully that gives you something that you can use. It doesn't have to be exactly the same. And then when you develop your plan, you can plan your trade and trade your plan and become consistent. That's it. All I have today.
awesome stuff. Thank you for that, Coach Paul. Want to answer Earl Wallace really quick here. You guys like entering around VWAP and predicting where it's going to go up or down? Uh, no. In this case, we're using VWAP as a trend indicator. If it's angled to the downside, then yes, I am looking to enter. Right, the slope of VWAP means everything to me. Um, and we still need to put it in context. But if this slope is to the downside, then yes, I'm looking to enter in the VWAP because what this is telling me is that there's trend to the downside and volume is trading with it. You want to be very careful about just entering near VWAP because if it's flat, that means that there's no trend at all. And let's look at the 10-year here. This VWAP is going to be a flat line. If you just went with, hey, I'm going to enter on VWAP and predict where it goes, in this case, you're trading you're not trading a flow, you're trading a puddle here. Right. And this is like one of those puddles that if you ever been to New York, it's one of the ones that like is right near the gutter when it's crowded and it's just a bunch of shit floating around in it. You don't want to be in here. Right. So uh the angle of VWAP means a lot. Gonna mean a lot for sure. But we will explain more of that on the next At the Buzzer. Reminder, we have Coach Robert doing a class in Discord right now. After him, Coach Hoop. And then we have Coach Ray and Coach Vince, 6 p.m. and 7 p.m. Central Time. Coach Dakota with Slow Markets tonight. Baron is going to be joining him, I believe. And then we have Aaron with the London Open and D with the Euro Trade. That is 1:30 a.m. and 3:30 a.m. Central Times. Thank you, everyone, for joining. If you haven't done so already, hit that thumbs up button. We appreciate you all being here. Trade well, manage your risk, and we bye.
Bye.